Hey everyone, welcome back to class. So it's getting closer to the end of the quarter, and I've been getting a lot of students worried about their grades or how they're going to try to catch up on things that they did not do. That's good. Being worried about getting good grades means that you actually care about what you are doing. Now, there's a difference between getting worried and freaking out. Freaking out is bad. I don't want you to do this. I want to take this opportunity to explain to you how I teach. Maybe it will help you stop freaking out, maybe it won't. But just in case I did not do a good job explaining it in the beginning of the year, or you missed that explanation for some reason, I wanted to tell you over YouTube so you can watch it as many times as you want, just so you don't get confused. My teaching style, especially this year, is probably different than what you're used to. I'm doing what teachers call project-based learning. I have multiple classes that I teach, but all of them boil down to basically the same concept. So let's set some goals for what I want you to learn today. What is an analogy? What is formative assessment? What is project-based learning? What is due in Mr. Lee's class and when? I don't want to use a lot of words that only teachers know because of, their profession. So this is actually known as jargon. I encourage you to learn teacher jargon just to expand your vocabulary, but in this specific case, I want you to have a crystal clear understanding of what I expect out of you and not to have difficult words or concepts get in the way of this. In order for me to do that, I'm going to use what is called an analogy. An analogy is comparing two things for the purpose of better explaining the more complicated concept. In this case, I'm going to compare building a house to my project-based learning. When you ask me what is due and when, I want you to think that I hired you to build a house. I tell you I want a house by June 1st. As long as I have a house and that house is good, sturdy, well built, I don't care how you do it. Your whole job is to get me that house when I ask and how I ask of it. Otherwise, you get no money and you get fired. Every quarter, I'm going to tell you to build a house. Well, now in English class, I'm not really going to ask you to build a house, but you have to build something. This is called your project. Your project is due 1 week before the end of the quarter. If you do not give me this project, you're fired and you get an F in my class. Simple as that. You get me that house and it's not built right. When I walk through the door, I'm worried that it's going to fall down the moment I walk through the door. You're also fired and you get an F. Now, in order to build a house, you need to learn how to use tools. For example, a hammer is really important for building a house. If you don't know how to use a hammer, your house is going to suck. You need to learn how to use that hammer. I will teach you how to use that hammer in the quarter. When you pick up that hammer the first time, you're going to be horrible at it. In fact, chances are when you swing, you're probably going to hit your thumb and you're going to hate your life. But after you're done cursing at it, you'll pick up that hammer and try a second time. That second time might be a little bit better. You're going to not hit your thumb, but you bend the nail and you got to try again anyway. So you try again a third time. And that third time, you finally get the nail in, but it was super slow, and you know you won't get the project done in any amount of time that is reasonable. You need to practice more and more to start hammering in those nails as fast as possible and as good as possible. This is what I do with you in every unit that I create. I give you that tool. I give you that hammer. Now you learn how to use that tool with, for example, my YouTube videos. Then I give you practice with these questions that I give you. You should eventually be good enough to use that English tool on your project by yourself. That's the goal. Now, you'll need to learn how to use more than just one tool to build a house. You can't build a house with just a hammer. There are saws, there's drills, there's whatever you need, right? This is why I give you multiple units each quarter for the project. Now, I know this year is crazy. This is why my first quarter, I'm only going to give you 3 tools. I want you to get used to the way that I teach and get used to the way the world is right now. But in quarter 2, I'm going to expect you to use more tools. I'm going to expect you to learn at least 5 tools. But the tools in quarter 1 don't go away just because I taught you 5 new tools. So those 3 tools in quarter 1 are added to the 5 tools that I teach you in quarter 2. In quarter 3, I'm going to give you 7 tools, and in quarter 4, I'm going to give you 10 tools. Now, you'll need to master all 25 of these tools in order to graduate my class. As a teacher, I need to evaluate how you are doing with each of these tools. I know you're going to be using all these tools in the final project, but I need to see you practice with this tool. I need to make sure that you're swinging that hammer and doing it the correct way so you're not developing bad habits. This is what teachers call formative assessment. So there are 2 ways that I can do this. You can show me that you're doing your practice by going to my Zoom classes, or if you do not go to my Zoom classes, you need to show me your practice swings by completing each worksheet that I give you completely. All right, so this whole COVID thing and online learning has forced me into making some hard choices. My Zoom classes are mandatory for you. You must go to my Zoom classes. Now, that being said, how am I going to force you to join my Zoom classes? The answer is I can't. So what do? Do I fail you for not going to my Zoom class? The answer is I cannot do that morally. I have no idea what your life situation is like at home. You can be working in the fields and being the only moneymaker in the house for all I know. Should I rob you of that chance to graduate high school because the economy is crap and the world is turned on its head? No, but the thing is, I need you to practice swing with that hammer. This is what I'm going to do. For those of you that join my Zoom classes every week, I will give you your choice to determine how much practice you need with that hammer before you allow me to evaluate you. What I mean by this is that if you think that you have mastered whatever tool I gave you, you do not need to do all of the worksheet. You can do half the worksheet or a quarter of the worksheet, whatever you feel you need, and your worksheets will not be graded. You only need to do as much as you need to master that hammer. I can evaluate if you've mastered that tool over my Zoom classes by using good teacher techniques. For my students who do not go to class, the only way I can see your practice swings is through the worksheets that you do. You will need to complete all the practice work that I give you for each unit. This will allow me to evaluate how you are doing and if there's any bad habits that you're about to form. Your worksheets will also be graded. So this is my analogy, and I want to give you 2 examples of my projects. In one of my classes, I asked my students to create a cookbook. I gave them 3 tools: imperatives, present affirmatives, and present progressive tense. They will need to create a recipe using each one of these tools. One page will be imperatives, one page will be present affirmatives, one page will be present progressive tense. The second example is my charisma project. Each student will create a 1-minute video demonstrating whatever charisma technique and body language that you choose. And the student will write a 5-paragraph essay describing the technique that they use in the video. The tools I give them were how to organize a 5-paragraph essay, how to use MLA format, and the research information needed to complete the assignment. I will post a checklist of everything you need to master and put it in your project. I will also attach what's called a grading rubric that will show you how much you will miss if you do not do one of those checkpoints. It is my goal to create a self-evaluation rubric for each tool that I give you, but I might not be able to get those to you yet. I know that this is a lot to take in, so I want us to review. An analogy is comparing two things for the purpose of better explaining the more complicated concept. Formative assessment is methods that teachers use to conduct in-process evaluations of students' comprehension, learning needs, and academic progress during a lesson, unit, or course. It is to make sure that you do not develop bad habits. Project-based learning is where the teacher gives you a project to complete for your final grade in class. You learn the tools you need to master throughout the process of the project. The project is due 1 week before the end of the quarter. If you come to my Zoom classes, your worksheets are not graded, and it is up to you how much you need to finish of the worksheets before you want me to evaluate your mastery of it. If you do not go to my Zoom class, your worksheets will be graded. They are to help me evaluate if you mastered the tool. So I hope this helped you understand what I expect in class. I know the world is crazy right now, but please join my Zoom class. It will be easier for both me and you. You got this. This year is a bit stressful, but I know you can hang in there. Also, thank you for watching this and letting me teach you. I'll see you next time.